My friends, we are here today with my good buddy Andwele. Andwele works for CCAM and went to Virginia State University. We are nestled in the beautiful woods just outside of Petersburg, Virginia. This is the Gunn Show. The first thing I want to ask you is, what advice would you offer either the kids who maybe want to get into the industry, or if you think you could offer also someone who maybe feels like this is monotonous at this point, maybe needs some new inspiration and value to something they've been doing for 40 years.
Right.
Because I think it sits on both sides of the spectrum, right? Where when you do something too much, I remember a friend of mine telling me one time, who's been traveling the world and gone 80-90% of the year from his house, I asked him, because I was starting to get burnt out, I said, how do you do this every day, all the time for, 40 years? He looks at me and goes, well, first you love it, then you hate it, and then you get used to it. So as far as the generation that's been doing this for so long, I personally feel like maybe if we, I know I do personally, show them a bit of gratitude for every step that they've come throughout the years, from, the tool and die makers to, the manual lathes and manual drill presses, to what to what it is right now, and knowing that process, to say thank you for allowing us to be where we are today and being a part of it. But what would you recommend for both the youth and the generation that's maybe burnt out a little bit?
Well, if I can speak about the generation that might be a little burnt out, because you mentioned tool and die maker. So I want to give a shout out to, like you said, pay homage to someone. Johnny Caps, who's actually the tool and die maker here at CCAM, who was one of my mentors as an intern. He then pushed a lot of information into me that I wouldn't have got if it wasn't for him, right? But I think what me and Johnny have is a good relationship, because he gives me some of the old techniques and tricks and how to do things the easy way, and now I'm always trying to give him what's new out there, right? And so I think, especially with Industry 4.0, there's a lot of new things in manufacturing. You spoke about like the manual lathe, the manual knee mills, and all those manual processes, but seeing how we transition from the 5-axis CNCs, now we're going to using industrial 6-axis robots to do some subtractive manufacturing processes. I think just showing the old generation what's out there, right, and giving them the keys to participate in that new field, right. And so there would need to be some additional training done, right. It's a kind of a bone contention, right. We can look at other industries in the USA that are kind of dying out, and how we can kind of get them into the more advanced technologies. But I think, like I said, if we show them what's new out there, make sure they always see, okay, we got this new tool, it does this for you. I know it gets kind of boring seeing chips get made, but if you see, I'll give you a story. So this public information, Sandvik came out with the turning tools, right? Those things are amazing, but CCAM actually got to see those tools before they was released to market. And so it was, even though Johnny have seen steel being cut plenty of times before, or what material was, you see that new cutter doing what it does, that back and forth, that's something new, and it gets you excited again. So again, showing them, keeping them up to date with what's new out there, but also trying to plan on how to give them the skills to bring them up to the Industry 4.0 level, your peer skills, things of that nature, I think will close the gap. Then for my young people out there, I would say that if you think you want to be an engineer, you can be an engineer right now. Right at home, you're watching this video, you don't have to go to school. Well, take that back. You don't have to get the formal degree, if you will, to be an engineer, right? If you want to learn to be a programmer, right? There's Khan Academy, there's YouTube, there's Coursera. There's many courses out there for you to start that journey to get the skills that you want to be that engineer that you want to be. So for anyone who's out there, if you don't think that a 4-year university is your path, hey, it might not be your path, right? But we have technical schools, we have vocational schools, right? I think education outside of the formality of being K through 12, a 4-year degree program, I think education in itself is viable, right? So like I said, when I got here at CCAM, Johnny Caps gave me a master class on being a machinist, right? Things that I didn't pick up at school, or even in my personal my personal experience. So just make steps toward which you'll be right now, right? Even if you change your trajectory along the way, you still picked up skills. So let's say, okay, I want to be a car mechanic right now. I'm 14 years old. If I learn how to rebuild an engine right now, but then I say I want to be a doctor later, you can leverage those skills you learned on how to rebuild that engine as a doctor. Trust me, you can. So my biggest thing is, like I say, if you want to be an engineer, just start what you can to walk that path right now.
I think that's excellent advice. And since we're giving shout-outs, I got to give one, too.
Okay.
Gentleman by the name of Bill Sullivan. I certainly would not be where I am today without him. Right down the street in Richmond is where I grew up, and I worked at a place, my first legitimate, other than being a lifeguard or, Pizza Hut in college, this type of thing. My first legitimate engineering or programming job, right? And this gentleman, Bill Sullivan, he taught me patiently, thank goodness, how to program line by line on some old Omniturns and floppy disk, 1.44 floppy disk. So shout out to you, Bill. Thank you. I'm grateful to learn everything and spend time with people like you who and all the people that I've had the great, privilege to speak with, because every day I learn so much, and I'm not afraid to get something wrong, because that's how I learn, and I think that's important as well, is to be okay with the one to ask the questions, and that kind of thing.
If I could add something just on that point right there, I think that's another key, and it might be more, even more necessary for people who come from a more difficult background, right? People who look like me, if I could say it in that type of way, to be comfortable in your own skin, right? I would say that, especially in grad school, it was a really hard time for me in my first semester, because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, right? I came from Virginia State University, went to Virginia Tech, small school, big school, the difference in demographics, things of that nature, right? Being away from home and things of that nature. I struggled. I can't even describe how much I struggled that first semester, right? I took 4 classes. I had a 20-hour week research appointment. Plus, I was pledging my fraternity back in Petersburg every weekend. So I would have Monday through Friday grad school, Friday night to Sunday morning fraternity, and then Sunday morning to Monday morning homework, right? So I was killing myself. But what I really did to even hinder myself more is the fact that I wasn't comfortable in my own skin at Virginia Tech, so I didn't ask questions. I didn't go to office hours. I was scared to look dumb in front of everyone, because I felt like I had to represent everyone back from where I came from in this one little classroom, which was dumb, right? Because I came here to learn. I didn't come here to look smart, right? I came here to learn, so obviously I'm telling you I don't know something, so let me be comfortable in my own skin. So I would say all the kids out there, when you're in class, don't be afraid to look dumb, right? If you ask a question, 9 times out of 10, the person you asking, if you genuinely want to know about their subject, they're gonna take the time to give you that knowledge, right? You talk about your mentor, Bill Sullivan, right? Mm-hmm. Johnny Caps. There's been many times where I almost crashed the Hermler, right? Doing some fast access programming, was babying the control, like, Johnny, don't run it with the rapid, wrap it all the way up. But John was patient, Say, hey man, make sure you run through Vericut, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. And over time, I became, a very good programmer. So I think, like I said, be comfortable in your own skin. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Be wrong, because especially in research, 90% of the time, the answer we get is not the answer that we want. Right. So we have to be used to failure. So again, be comfortable in your own skin. Be comfortable in your own skin. Don't be afraid to be wrong, and be passionate. Be happy. Have fun.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a carefree guy. I don't try to take myself too seriously. I do take my work seriously, but at the end of the day, it's life.
That's great advice, all of that. And Hermele is not a bad machine to practice on, is it?
Look, that's another thing about CCAM, right? I was 24 when I got the CCAM, 24 years old, and then here's this Hermele, $1 million piece of equipment, right? A lot of companies wouldn't let a 24-year-old get on that piece of equipment, but luckily Johnny Caps had the patience. He taught me how to use that piece of equipment. So shout out to CCAM for putting those opportunities for young people like myself to transition from an intern to a full-time researcher and get those opportunities that you wouldn't get anywhere else. And
also to Hermele, because that was a donation project. If I'm not mistaken, those guys in Wisconsin are amazing. You know, they're friendly, and we all know the machine is, top of the line.
Hermles are nice.
Yeah.
Hermles are nice.
I could also tell that struggle in college first semester was real by the way you paused for a moment to think about it and have a flashback real quick.
I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, there were all the cliches about sleepless nights in school, right? I'm not going to lie. Kindergarten through senior year of college was a cakewalk for me. I'm sorry to say that, right? I didn't study. I didn't write notes. I went to class. I listened to the teacher. I got it all in one go. took the test, got 100, walked out of class in 2 minutes, right? I was kind of that guy. Some people didn't like me. But when I got to Virginia Tech, it was smack in the mouth because my degree from Virginia State was mechanical engineering technology, right? So it's not even a traditional engineering degree. Now, I went to Virginia Tech to get my master's in industrial and system engineering, and at that time, the program was number 5 in the country. So a lot of expectations when I went to Virginia Tech. And on top of that, 4 classes don't sound like a lot, but 4 classes plus 20 hours of research per week plus pledging, it was a lot.
Sounds like a lot.
It's a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress. There was times where I didn't think that I would make it, really. It was like I didn't see the light of the tunnel, if you will. But going through that struggle allowed me to really figure out how to do time management and realize when I'm overloading myself. Because before Virginia Tech, I thought I was Superman, right? I could do anything. I could take 20 credit hours, be in the band, do that, do this, and be straight because I didn't have to stay. I had to do anything like that. But at Virginia Tech,
different story.
Different story. I had to slow down. I had to reprioritize things, do time management, and really get into the books. Grad school is a whole nother monster. Not to scare anyone out there because I think if you really want to go in this path of going through the traditional route of academia, university and things of that nature, grad school is definitely worth it. But it's tough.
Sure.
It's definitely tough.
There's value in something that's tough, though, right?
I was just ready to say it's tough, but looking back, I wouldn't even take back the fact that I was pledging during that time, right? In the moment, if a kid said, "Hey man, you think I should pledge my first year of grad school?" I would say, "Definitely not. You're crazy." But looking back on it, it gave me the opportunity to challenge myself, and like I said, I learned time management. I learned how to recognize when I was overloading myself, and also recognize that you need to balance, right? People say go hard when you're young, but you gotta live life too, right? Going to grad school, I thought I could just be school 24/7, but you gotta play basketball a little bit. You gotta go watch the movies. You gotta go chill out with your friends a little bit. You gotta have that relaxation, or else you can burn yourself out. And I burned myself out, but luckily I didn't burn all the way out. I came back and was able to catch up on my academics and really get back to where I thought myself to be in terms of rigor in terms of academia. But I had to reprioritize my time management, things of that nature. But like I said, if a kid asked me now to do what I did, I would say you're crazy, but I wouldn't take it back for anything because it definitely gave me skills and allowed me to get where I'm at today.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it's wonderful to hear your story, Andwele. It really is. And for sharing it with everyone. I'm sure there's some people that are going to pick up some inspiration also.